NBA Finals practice day number 6. Ahead of Game 6, we heard from Pacers and Thunder players today ahead of the final game in Indianapolis this season. What are Pacers players thinking about getting their scoring attack going? Tyrese Haliburton's health. And what are Thunder players thinking about their mentality and more ahead of the game? We'll get to all of it and hear from them today on a bonus Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday/Thursday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes, and today, practice day number 6 of the NBA Finals. We got to hear from Pacers players. We got to hear from Thunder players. We got to hear from coaches. We got to hear from, very importantly, Tyrese Haliburton about his injury and so much more. A very important day and the final interview day in Indy of this finals. If the Pacers win, of course, there'll be one more in OKC ahead of the Game 7. So much you'll hear today on this show. Lots more Pacers than Thunder. Today, I was very chaotically all over the place, running around because the interview room for key players is far away from the court, whatever. So anyway, you'll get to hear from Tyrese Haliburton specifically on his calf, what it is, what his recovery process kind of is. I didn't get a ton of his interview because I was in like the very, very, very back of the room, which is there was a million people in there. And then you'll get to hear from Myles Turner, Bennedict Mathurin, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard. I think I'm missing someone, but talk to all of them about various things about Game 6. There's something striking to me that's very generic is just their offensive principles and process, right? The Pacers have this magical number, 110. If they're above it in the playoffs, they've won every game. That doesn't mean their offense has been the problem every time they lose under 110, but that has been a thing for them. If they're scoring enough, they've been in or winning every game that is required of them, and they haven't gotten there the last 2 games. What do they need to do better on the offensive end with or without Tyrese Haliburton, right? How do they get their tempo right? How do they get their lick back to look like the Pacers, right? And some of this is they haven't had a magnet ball game yet this series. Some of this is just general ball movement hasn't felt the same. Some of this is the Thunder defense is ridiculous. I hope that everybody was prepped for that from all the series previews. But they've got to figure out a way to get their offense going. You'll hear from a lot of players about that, including a very poorly phrased question to Andrew Nembhard that he laughed at me for right after the press conference, which I appreciated. Hold me accountable for bad questions, Mr. Nembhard. But that's a big part of this. I'm also very curious mentality-wise where the Pacers are. Obviously, they should be dialed in. It's Game 6 of the finals, right? Could be their last game played of this entire season, the most significant game some of these players will play in terms of, what could happen right after it in a lot of players' lives. I don't think it's the biggest game in Pacers history anymore, but a very significant game. And last year, I remember at Carlisle, when it was 0-3, Pacers were down to the Celtics. We were in Indy, and he was talking about how part of his motivating factor to players was describing the potential scene coming, which would be Celtics players celebrating the Eastern Conference Championship on their floor, right? Is that something that they want? Can that motivate them? And so, one, I wanted to know how Carlisle's kind of approaching the motivation factor for his players, but 2, what the players think of their own motivation factor, how they fit into that. You'll hear from Myles Turner on that and so much more. And then some other little things here and there that will either be a part of other stories or just me trying to figure out things about Pacers players and their mentality going into these big games, because you can never learn enough about these guys, who they are, and how they approach these games. It's a huge one. It is an absolutely critical one. And Rick Carlisle also asked about Tyrese Haliburton's health. He said that, it truly will be a game time decision tomorrow. They'll have to learn more from their testing, learn more from various situations to truly know what the status will be for him. So it's impossible to say right now. You'll hear more from James Boyd and I on that health status, because Rick Carlisle talked to James Boyd on the morning show yesterday, and so much work coming up there. And then you'll hear from some Thunder players in this one as well. Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet, Holmgren, and Cason, Wallace on a couple things, mostly Tyrese Haliburton related, but also Thunder mindset related, as they're up 3-2, as they were in the conference semifinals before they lost in Denver. How do they approach trying to close this one out with their team, right? Trying to get this one done as soon as they can, but also their approach to the fact that Haliburton is injured, right? Do they plan 2 game plans? Do they plan as if he's playing? How does it affect what they do or what they hope to do against the Pacers? Because obviously it's a huge shift in the Pacers' approach and how they'll play, but so much more comes as a result of the thinking there when it comes to Haliburton's preparedness, right? Which is a big part of this. And something you've heard all the time is like, yeah, there's 2 game plans, one if he plays, one if he doesn't. The Pacers do that all the time, for opposing star players. So I think that was very curious. You'll hear from them on all sorts of things as well. So let's dive right in. You've heard enough from me. Let's hear from Pacers and Thunder players in Gainbridge Fieldhouse today on the NBA Finals. Before we do that, need to tell you guys about Olipop, a new kind of soda made for people who love the classic taste of soda but want something that supports their health with just 2 to 5 grams of sugar and 9 grams of prebiotic fiber in every can. Olipop is reimagining soda in a way that's better for your gut. Traditional sodas are loaded with sugar, like 39 grams in regular Coke or 44 grams in an orange Fanta, and Olipop flips that script with just a fraction of the sugar, no artificial sweeteners, and gut-friendly ingredients like OliSmart, a blend shown to support digestive and overall health. It's soda that tastes like the real thing, that actually does something good for your body. You can try so many flavors first. If you've been listening to this podcast every day, you've seen me drinking the crisp apple. That's my favorite. My wife loves the cream soda. I love the orange vanilla as well. There's so many good ones. Swapping out regular soda for Olipop could help you cut back on sugar while getting those nostalgic flavors you love. One can gives you about a third of your daily recommended fiber. How about that? So get a free can of Olipop. Just buy any 2 cans at the store. They'll reimburse you for one. Head to drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA to claim your free can and find out where you can get Olipop near you. That's drinkolipop.com/LockedOnNBA. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Lakers, new ownership of the Lakers. Wowee, you've heard enough from me. Let's hear from Pacers and Thunder players ahead of the NBA Finals Game 6.
How smart do you have to be, I guess, in this situation? Or are you not even thinking in those terms at this point?
Well, I think it depends on who you ask. I mean, you're asking me, so I think I have to be as smart as I want to be. I have to understand the risks, ask the right questions. But I'm a competitor. I want to play. I'm gonna do everything in my power to play, and that's just what it is. But I mean, I think the answer to that is dependent on who you ask.
Can you give us an idea of what the treatment is like? Is it, like, as I know, as close to 24 hours as you can do? Like, what do you do for a strained calf? What can you do for it?
Yeah, I mean, I think just around the clock stuff as much as I can. Massage, needles, hyperbaric, H-wave. I mean, just a bunch of different things to try to get it to feel as comfortable as you can going into it. The right tape and stuff, while I am performing, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of medical professionals who could give you a better answer, but just doing everything that I'm told, trying to do everything I can.
You guys are undefeated this playoffs when you score over 110. You haven't hit that the last couple. What do you feel like you need to do to get the offense flowing with or without Ty this next
game?
Get
over 110. Yeah. I mean, get the ball in the paint. I mean, I turned the ball over less, to be honest. 25 turnovers, took 12 less shots than them. That's a big swing in the game right there. We need to get the possessions where it's closer for sure.
You are a really young player playing at the biggest level. I want to know how you handle all the opinions that people say about you on social media or TV shows. I wonder if you see that, if you watch that, and if someone gave you any advice on how to handle that.
I'd say the biggest thing I learned to do is not try to handle any of it, I just try to handle my job, which is playing basketball. The reason we're able to play in front of so many cameras and get paid to do what we do is because people have opinions, people talk about it. It's all part of the business of basketball, and my part in that business is to play basketball. So, I just focus on that, playing basketball, trying to be better every night, and I let those people do their jobs.
Clinch games are always the hardest. How does past clinch games in this postseason, particularly that game 7 against Denver, help you guys prepare for this one?
I wouldn't say it's past specific games. I think everything that we've done as a whole and everything we've seen and tried to improve from, helps us going forward, and that's the mindset we try to have. And we kind of have to take all the experiences, good and bad, that we've had up to this point and take that into game 6 and, try and execute on it.
With Tyrese Haliburton hurt, do you guys prep the same as if he is or isn't playing? Is there 2 game plans? How similar is it to a normal game with that injury?
I mean, we're expecting the best punch out of Indiana. That's what we're preparing for. We're preparing for their best punch, and that's all there is to it.
What has made that group so effective? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 down the roster.
I think that they mirror a lot of things that the starting lineup does, but then they do it with a lot more energy at times. So they bring a different type of energy and focus to the game. And whether we're up or down, they can be. We know we can rely on them like we've been able to do all season long.
Hey Myles, this is the first time you guys are trailing in a series in these playoffs. Does that anything change in your mindset ahead of the next game?
So I'm gonna tell you something I told last buddy. Like, we started the series off, with the mentality that we were trailing and whatnot. So with that mentality, it can't change. Obviously the circumstances have changed, but your mentality can never change.
When you took a look at last game, what were your biggest takeaways from what you guys did improve on?
I mean, the most glaring thing was the turnovers. You can't have 25 turnovers for 32 points and expect to win the game. You do a better job, obviously, controlling the glass and whatnot. I think we won the glass, but they still had 17 offensive rebounds. And then offensively, just more fluidity when not playing the style that got us here.
As you guys are unbeaten when you go over 110 scoring in this postseason run with or without Tyrese, what do you guys need to do a little bit better? You just touched on it a little bit on the offensive end in this next game.
Yeah, there's more touches, continue to keep the ball moving. We play at a fast pace. We continue to play at that pace. And, just be more aggressive, man. They had 12 more shot attempts than us, so, we have to continue to try and get a clean look every possession.
I remember Rick talking to us about how you guys were told about the incoming potential trophy ceremony for Boston last year in the conference finals when they had 3 wins. Has he kind of shared any similar messaging this year about motivating or anything like that?
Yeah, but he shouldn't have to, I think it's just the overall pride and ego, that comes with that.
Most of my career, staying ready. I've always been big on just control without control, staying in shape, staying in the weight room. I think the rest will take care of itself. My name's called, I just go as hard as I can, play as hard as I can, try to do the little things to help this team win.
Knowing that this would be the last home game of the season, if you could look back at how the fans have reacted and how important are they to the team?
Fans are huge. I feel like each playoff game, especially getting deeper in the finals, is getting louder and louder. So that really helps us. That we feed off of that. And I think having the home crowd, home advantage is huge. It's going to be great for us this season.
Last game, you guys were able to cut the lead again in the fourth quarter. Like in game 1, but you guys weren't able to get the lead and finish the game and win. What do you think was missing from you guys, or maybe something that OKC did different than in game 1 late in the fourth quarter?
I think we just got to do a better job of closing in those games. The fourth quarter is like the last lap. It's the last 6 minutes. Everyone's trying to give their all. Sometimes we try to their intensity. I think we just got to respond better and just close out the game.
I think it might be hard to do this in the finals, but if you had a chance to reflect on your own journey the last 3 months of March 1st, not even on a team, to you're playing meaningful minutes in the finals.
I think about it every day, man. Since the first 10 that I've been here, I don't take this for granted. I'm so grateful to be here. I appreciate the patience for giving me the opportunity to even play, to be here. I think about it often. It's a special moment, but really when this is all over, I really get a chance to think about it. But it's been going so fast since I've been here. I've been so appreciative and very motivated.
I know Rick tries to be motivating in these situations. Do you feel like, 1, he has been and it helps you, or 2, you feel like it comes from inside more with you guys? It doesn't need to come from him as much?
I think it's both. It's 50-50. I think that it's a good support from both of us, just from inside. So it's been great.
How do you deal with the anxiety when you are a few hours away from that game? What do you give you a ring?
I just stay present and stay focused on the game ahead of me. Try not to look too far ahead, just worry about the game, that I'm going to play.
Something changing for you guys to know if Tyrese Haliburton will play or not tomorrow?
Not at all. They're going to have their best foot forward, so we just got to be ready for that.
Are you prepared to a game like that? In terms of being aggressive, being the guy that can score a lot of points, how do you prepare your mindset for a game like that?
It's the same preparation. Just going out there and being to win this, just having fun, trying to have my teammates.
Thank you.
How hard is it to find that balance between being physical with them and realizing that they're good at drawing fouls?
Just knowing who's in front of me, knowing personnel, and doing anything I can to make it play.
And does that continue even if you pick one up early, you pick a couple up early?
Yeah, for sure. I just got to keep the same aggressiveness.
been. You're always pretty stoic, not playing last year. This is your first time facing elimination. Does this feel any different to you heading into this game?
What difference?
Ben, you're known as such a high energy and intense player. In these home games, when the crowd is going and you're feeling it, do you have to do anything to kind of calm yourself down, or you kind of just go with the flow and live with the adrenaline in the moment?
Just going out there and, like I said, just play hard. Just play hard, having a lot of fun. It was a big game tomorrow. Just staying focused.
Is it cool to see Isaiah out here, unable to do stuff all year, but I think today was 9 months from surgery?
For sure, that's crazy. Time fly, and I think that it's great to see him, being, smiling around and stuff like that. Especially he's been missing a lot of time. And last year I had a big injury myself on my shoulder, and I told him that sometimes it kind of sucks that he can't be a part of what we're doing, but to always keep your head up.
Ben, what does TJ mean to this group? And obviously, just from an energy, effort standpoint, I think he said on the podcast, playing hard is a skill. And do you, realize that in him or see that in him?
Sure. I think I'm very, very, grateful to TJ, showing me a different aspect of the game. He just plays with heart even if he's not making shots, he's going to do everything he can, just to have high energy and going out there and just be TJ.
So how do you deal with the anxiety when you are a few hours away from the game that could give you a ring?
I think the main thing is just approaching it not like every other game, but we're not looking at it if we win a championship. We're focusing on Game 6. We still want to come out with the same, desperation as the Pacers come out with. And that's the biggest thing. We're not changing. We're not looking too far ahead. We just have to focus on the present moment, and I think that kind of takes away the anxiety.
Your second straight year playing against Tyrese Haliburton in the series. What's different when he's off the floor for the Pacers, and how do you guys prepare for a game where he might be injured or unavailable?
We're preparing if he's going to play. That's what we're focused on. It's the finals. It's the same thing last series where people are sick, people say they're not going to play, so we're just focusing on that he's going to play. And if he doesn't play, we're ready regardless. And I think we're just focused on that.
Just get our recovery, take it day by day, understand the moment, understand where we are, and understand the opportunity ahead of us.
What's the mindset with or without Tyrese? How you have to adapt and forget about it?
Just continue to play our game, continue to push the pace, make sure that we are able to pick each other up for the things that he does so well for us. Try and get a little bit more out of everybody else to pick up from him.
What do you think was the overriding theme of why the offense and the turnovers continue to pile up? What needs corrected there from
I just think they do a really good job of putting the pressure on in their building. It seems a little bit different. I think the crowd helps out a lot with that. We just got to do a better job of weathering those storms. And, we'll be better in our building.
What was the you kind of talked about that already, but what was the emotional reset process after the loss and now coming back home? How do you look to impose your preferred tempo throughout the game?
Just understanding the moment, understanding the situation that we put ourselves in. We were in the same situation last year with the Knicks, so it's not like it's unfamiliar territory for us. And just it's something that we get to do. We get to play Game 6 here and hopefully win tomorrow, and then you get to play Game 7 in the NBA Finals, which is significant streak.
Remember Rick talking last year when you guys were down through to Boston about trophy ceremony and making that a motivating factor for you guys. What has he kind of said or tried to steer you guys to keep you focused and motivated ahead of this one?
He mentioned it. He brought it up again of not letting anybody celebrate on our floor. We let Boston do that last year here. And that's something we're not going to let happen this year. We're still going to win the whole thing. So it's just 2 games. We take it game by game, day by day, and let the cards fall in there.
Now, you mentioned Knicks last year. How similar to this feeling that you have right now about the importance the next game does this feel?
3-2, Game 6 at home. We're going to worry about tomorrow first. We'll get tomorrow done. And then after that, like I said, you get to play in a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. Come on, man. It's fun.
Hope you guys enjoyed that and hearing from them. Perhaps one more time, if the Pacers can win, you'll get another one of these. I've really enjoyed being able to actually put these in the podcast feed. Thank you guys so much for listening. Back tomorrow with James Boyd talking Pacers Thunder Game 6. Can the Pacers push this to 7? How will Haliburton's health status influence everything? You'll hear all that tomorrow. Thanks for listening. See ya very soon.